Lisa Murphy looked out the large window of Harmony Prime space station. The view showed countless stars and distant planets. She had been Earth's ambassador for 3 years now, but the beauty of space still amazed her. Today felt different, though. Something was wrong. The meeting room buzzed with alien voices. Representatives from dozens of worlds sat around the massive circular table. The Galactic Council had ruled these star systems for over 200 years. At the head sat Chancellor Vextar, a tall, lizard-like creature with green scales and yellow eyes. His voice was smooth but cold when he spoke. "Ambassador Murphy," Vextar said, "we have wonderful news for humanity." Lisa straightened in her chair. Good news from the Council was rare. Usually they only called meetings to complain about human expansion or to demand higher taxes from Earth's colonies. Next to the Chancellor sat Hive Queen Zilthera. She looked like a giant ant with 4 arms and black armor covering her body. Her species, the Zephyrians, controlled 12 star systems. When she spoke, it sounded like clicking metal. "Your species has impressed us," Zilthera clicked. "Despite being new to space travel, humans have shown great skill in mining and trade." Lisa nodded politely, but said nothing. She had learned that staying quiet often revealed more than asking questions. Vexatar stood up, his 7-foot frame casting a shadow over the table. "We offer Earth-exclusive mining rights to the entire Kepler system. Rich planets full of rare metals and crystals, worth trillions of credits," the other ambassadors murmured in surprise. The Kepler system was one of the richest areas in known space. 3 different species had fought wars over it for decades. Why would the Council just give it to humans? "What do you want in return?" Lisa asked. "Very little." Vextar smiled, showing sharp white teeth. "Simply withdraw your military, ships from the Arcturus, Centauri, and Vega sectors. Focus your defenses closer to Earth. This will reduce tensions in those areas." Lisa felt her stomach drop. Those 3 sectors protected Earth's outer colonies. Without human ships patrolling there, millions of colonists would be defenseless, but the Kepler system was incredibly valuable. It could fund Earth's expansion for generations. "I need to discuss this with my government," she said. "Of course," Zilthara clicked. "Take all the time you need. We are patient." The meeting ended, with handshakes and polite smiles. Lisa walked through the station's corridors, her mind racing. She needed to talk to someone she trusted. She found Captain Jake Collins in the station's security office. Jake commanded the Earth Defense Force ship Valiant, which had brought Lisa to the meeting. He was studying sensor readings on his computer screen, his brown hair messy from running his hands through it. "Jake, I need your opinion on something," Lisa said, closing the door behind her. He looked up with concerned blue eyes. "The Council meeting? I've been watching their ship movements. Something weird is happening." "What do you mean?" Jake pulled up a star chart on his screen. Red dots showed alien ship positions throughout the galaxy. "Look at this. For the past month, Council fleets have been moving toward the edge of their territory. They're grouping together in ways I've never seen before." Lisa studied the display. She wasn't military trained, but even she could see the pattern. Ships from different species were gathering in the same areas. That almost never happened unless they were planning something big. "There's more," Jake continued. "My sensors picked up encrypted messages between the alien delegates. They're using codes we've never seen before." A soft knock interrupted them. Dr. Amy Foster entered the room. She was a scientist who studied alien biology and behavior. Her red hair was pulled back in a ponytail and she looked worried. "I'm glad I found you both," Amy said. "I've been observing the Council members since yesterday. Their behavior patterns are all wrong." "How so?" Lisa asked. Amy sat down and pulled out her tablet. "Each species has normal stress indicators. When Zephyrians lie, their scales change color slightly. When the insectoid species are nervous, they release certain chemicals. The energy-based luminari flicker differently when hiding something." She showed them recordings from the meeting. "Look at these readings. Every single delegate showed signs of deception during your discussion. They were all lying about something." Lisa felt cold despite the warm room. "They offered us the Kepler system in exchange for withdrawing from 3 sectors. Jake's eyes widened. Those sectors protect our outer colonies. Without our ships there, we'd be completely exposed. Lisa finished. Amy nodded grimly. It's a trap. They want you to accept the deal and move your ships away. Then they can attack your defenseless colonies. But why? Lisa asked. We've never been aggressive toward the Council. We follow their laws and pay our taxes. Maybe that's the problem, Jake said. Humans have been expanding fast. We've colonized 40 systems in just 50 years. Other species took centuries to do that. Amy pulled up population charts. Human colonies are also more successful than average. Better technology, higher birth rates, stronger economies. We're becoming a threat without meaning to. Lisa stared at the data. Earth had joined the galactic community hoping for peace and cooperation. Instead, they were being targeted for their success. We need to warn Earth immediately, she said. Already done, Jake replied. I sent a coded message to Defense Command an hour ago, but we need more proof before making accusations. Amy stood up. I can try to decode more of their communications. If we can prove they're planning an attack, do it, Lisa said. But be careful. If they catch you spying, it could make things worse. Over the next few hours, the three humans worked quietly to gather evidence. Amy used her scientific equipment to monitor alien communications. Jake tracked ship movements throughout the galaxy. Lisa reviewed old treaties and trade agreements looking for legal loopholes the Council might use. As night cycle began on the station, they met again in Lisa's quarters. The evidence was scattered but clear. The Council was preparing for war. I have to confront them, Lisa said. Tomorrow's meeting might be our only chance to stop this peacefully. Are you sure? Jake asked. Once you show our hand, there's no going back. Lisa looked out at the stars again. Somewhere out there, human families were living their lives, unaware that war was coming. She thought about the children in the outer colonies, the farmers and miners who had traveled so far from Earth to build new homes. We have to try, she said. Maybe if we show them we know their plan, they'll call it off. Amy shook her head. Species like the Zephyrians don't back down. When cornered, they become more dangerous. Then we'll face that when it comes, Lisa replied. But I won't let them attack innocent people without warning them first. Jake nodded slowly. The Council thinks humans are weak because we prefer talking to fighting. Tomorrow, they're going to learn they made a big mistake. As the three humans prepared for what might be the most important diplomatic meeting in history, none of them could imagine just how badly the Council's treachery would backfire. The trap they were setting for humanity would soon become their own downfall. The galaxy was about to discover that when humans say you'll regret it, they mean every word. The emergency session at Earth Defense Command lasted 18 hours straight. President Karen Wells had flown directly to the military headquarters buried deep beneath the Rocky Mountains. The massive war room buzzed with activity as hundreds of officers prepared for humanity's first galactic conflict. Status report, the president demanded as she entered the main briefing chamber. General Rick Hayes stood before a holographic display showing the entire galaxy. Red dots marked approaching Council fleets while blue dots showed human positions. The enemy outnumbered them badly, but the general didn't look worried. Operation Deep Shield is fully activated, Madam President. All our hidden preparations are coming online. Admiral Tony Clark, commander of Earth's Space Forces, stepped forward. Ma'am, what I'm about to show you is classified at the highest levels. For 20 years, we've been preparing for exactly this scenario. The holographic display changed, showing what appeared to be a simple cargo ship. Then the image shifted, revealing hidden weapons ports, armor plating, and military sensors. Every human vessel in space has been equipped with concealed military upgrades, Admiral Clark explained. Cargo haulers, passenger liners, exploration ships, mining vessels, they're all combat capable. President Wells stared in amazement. How many ships are we talking about? Over 5,000 vessels, Madam President. The Council thinks they're facing a fleet of 300 ships. They have no idea what's waiting for them. Commander Pete Adams, head of military intelligence, activated another display. We've also been monitoring Council communications for decades. We know their command codes, fleet movements, and tactical preferences. They're walking into a trap of their own making. Dr. Amy Foster, who had arrived on the fastest ship available, joined the briefing. Her scientific expertise was needed for the most sensitive part of the operation. Each alien species has biological and technological weaknesses, she explained to the assembled officers. The Zephyrians rely on regenerative healing, but certain frequencies disrupt their cellular repair. The insectoid hive species coordinate through quantum entanglement. We can jam their communications with electromagnetic pulses. She pulled up detailed charts showing alien physiology. We've developed specific weapons for each enemy type, not to cause unnecessary suffering, but to end the conflict quickly with minimal casualties. Colonel Mary Johnson, Earth's top xenobiology warfare specialist, added her analysis. The Council's greatest weakness is overconfidence. They've never faced unified resistance. Each species fights in predictable patterns that haven't changed in centuries. President Wells absorbed the information with growing amazement. How long have you been planning this? General Hayes straightened his shoulders. Since first contact, ma'am. We hoped for peace but prepared for war. The moment humans entered galactic society, we knew this day might come. Across the galaxy, the transformation began. Captain Jake Collins received new orders while en route to Earth. Instead of landing, his ship Valiant was to rendezvous with a secret military base in the asteroid belt. Jake, you're being reassigned, Admiral Clark's message informed him. Report to Staging Area 7 for your new command. When Jake arrived at the coordinates, he couldn't believe his eyes. Hidden among the asteroids was a massive military installation. Dozens of ships, unlike anything he'd ever seen, were docked at the facility. Commander Lisa Murphy, promoted from her diplomatic post, met him at the airlock. Welcome to humanity's real navy, Jake. She led him through corridors filled with advanced technology. These ships were built in secret over the past 15 years, powered by fusion reactors, armed with weapons designed to fight each Council species, and protected by adaptive armor. They stopped before a sleek vessel nearly a mile long. Its hull gleamed with an almost organic appearance, as if the ship were alive. Meet the UES Retribution, Lisa said proudly. She's yours to command. One of 12 Dreadnought-class vessels that officially don't exist. Jake ran his hand along the ship's hull. The metal was warm to the touch and seemed to pulse slightly. What kind of technology is this? Reverse-engineered from captured alien vessels, combined with human innovation, Lisa explained. These ships can repair themselves, adapt to enemy weapons, and phase in and out of hyperspace during combat. Meanwhile, throughout human space, the sleeping giant protocol activated. On the colony world New Dallas, Farmer Ben Watson received an encrypted message on his personal communicator. He walked to his barn and entered a hidden code. The floor slid away, revealing a concealed weapons cache. Never thought I'd need this, he muttered, but began loading his farming equipment with military-grade modifications. Similar scenes played out across 40 human worlds. Shop owners, teachers, miners, and colonists all revealed themselves as reserve military personnel. Every human settlement had been secretly prepared for war. On the trading station Haven Point, Merchant Captain Sarah Wells was loading cargo when her ship's computer chimed with new instructions. Hidden panels opened throughout her vessel, revealing military sensors and weapon systems. Computer, run full military conversion, she commanded. Her cargo ship transformed before her eyes. External hull plates shifted to reveal armor plating. Civilian sensors upgraded to military-grade scanners. Her modest trading vessel became a fully armed warship. Dr. Amy Foster worked frantically at Earth Defense Command, coordinating the biological warfare aspects of the coming battle. Her team had developed non-lethal but highly effective weapons designed to neutralize each alien species without causing permanent harm. The goal is to end this conflict quickly, she explained to her assistants. We want the Council to surrender, not to exterminate them. Her research had identified key vulnerabilities. Zephyrian scales became brittle when exposed to certain sound frequencies. Insectoid species lost coordination when their chemical communication was disrupted. Energy beings could be contained using specific electromagnetic fields. Each weapon is designed to incapacitate, not kill, she emphasized. Humans fight to win, not to commit genocide. Commander Pete Adams coordinated the intelligence warfare campaign from his hidden facility on Luna. His team had spent years infiltrating Council communication networks, planting viruses that would activate during the battle. When the shooting starts, their own systems will turn against them, he reported to Admiral Clark. Their ships will be unable to coordinate effectively. His greatest achievement was the Confusion Protocol, a virus that would make enemy vessels unable to distinguish friend from foe. Council ships would begin attacking each other, thinking they were targeting human vessels. As the Council fleets approached human space, President Wells made a final broadcast to the galaxy. People of all worlds, she began, the Galactic Council has rejected our offers of peace and chosen the path of war. They believe humanity is weak because we prefer diplomacy to violence. Today they will learn the difference between weakness and restraint. The message reached every inhabited system. We did not start this conflict, but we will finish it. Any Council ships that surrender will be treated with honor. Any that continue their attack will face the full strength of human resolve. On Harmony Prime Station, Chancellor Vextar watched the broadcast with amusement. Typical human arrogance, he hissed to his advisors. They still believe they can frighten us with empty words. Hive Queen Zilthara clicked agreement. Our fleets will crush them within hours. Then the galaxy will see what happens to species that challenge the Council's authority. Neither alien leader noticed the small device Amy Foster had left behind, still recording their conversations for human intelligence. As the massive Council armada of over 2,000 ships entered human space, they expected to find scattered colonial defenses and perhaps a few dozen Earth warships. What they found instead was the largest military force in galactic history waiting for them. Admiral Tony Clark stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching the enemy approach. His fleet of officially non-existent ships hung in perfect formation, while thousands of converted civilian vessels took positions throughout the star system. Admiral, his communications officer reported, the enemy fleet is demanding our surrender. Clark smiled grimly. Open a channel to all Council vessels. His message broadcast on every frequency. This is Admiral Clark to all Council forces. You were warned. You chose not to listen. Turn around now or face the consequences of your arrogance. The response from Chancellor Vextar was predictably dismissive. Surrender now, primitives, and your deaths will be swift. Admiral Clark looked at his assembled fleet commanders on the tactical display. Captain Jake Collins aboard the Retribution, Commander Sarah Wells with her converted merchant vessels, Colonel Mary Johnson leading the biological warfare units, Dr. Amy Foster coordinating from the science ships. All units, he announced calmly, the enemy has refused our final offer of mercy. Execute Operation Sleeping Giant. Show them what happens when you threaten humanity. Throughout human space, 5,000 hidden warships decloaked simultaneously. The Council fleet, expecting to face minimal resistance, suddenly found themselves outnumbered and surrounded. The galaxy was about to witness the awakening of a sleeping giant that the Council's treachery had created. The Council fleet advanced into human space with complete confidence. Chancellor Vextar stood on the bridge of his massive flagship Dominion, watching the scanner displays show seemingly empty space ahead. Where are the human defenses? He asked. His tactical officer, a younger Zephyrian named Kolvar. Minimal contact, sir. A few patrol ships running away from our advance. Perhaps 20 vessels total. Vextar's scaled lips curled into a satisfied smile. Cowards. They're abandoning their colonies without a fight. 3 star systems away, Hive Queen Zilthara commanded her swarm of 600 insectoid vessels. Her ship's organic walls pulsed with bioluminescent displays showing the same information. The mammals flee before our might. She clicked to her subordinates. Operation Cleansing proceeds perfectly. Neither alien commander realized they were walking into the most devastating trap in military history. Admiral Tony Clark watched the enemy approach from his command center aboard the UES Defiance. Around him, Holographic displays showed the positions of over 5,000 human vessels, all invisible to Council sensors. Enemy fleet has passed the first marker, reported Commander Nina Brooks from the sensor station. Let them come deeper, Clark replied calmly. We want them fully committed before we spring the trap. Captain Jake Collins waited aboard the UES Retribution, his hands steady on the controls despite his racing heart. Around him, his crew of hand-picked volunteers prepared for humanity's first major space battle. Jake, came Lisa Murphy's voice. Over the communication system, remember what we discussed. Hit hard, hit fast, but give them chances to surrender. Understood, Jake replied. We're not monsters, even if they think we are. Throughout the human fleet, similar conversations took place. Dr. Amy Foster coordinated the biological warfare, vessels from the science ship Discovery. Her weapons were designed to disable, not destroy. Commander Pete Adams monitored alien communications from his stealth ship Shadow. The virus programs he'd planted in Council systems were ready to activate. Their communication networks are wide open, he reported. 20 years of infiltration about to pay off. The Council fleet reached the heart of human space, expecting to find helpless colonies and fleeing civilian ships. Instead, they found empty space and a few small patrol vessels that seemed to be retreating. This is too easy, muttered Kolvar aboard the Dominion. Where is their main fleet? Vextar dismissed his concerns. Hiding near their homeworld, no doubt. Humans are prey species. They lack the courage for real warfare. That's when Admiral Clark gave the order that changed galactic history. All units execute Sleeping Giant Protocol, decloak and engage. The empty space around the Council fleet suddenly blazed with light as 5,000 human vessels materialized. What the aliens had thought was a trap for humans was actually a trap for them. Converted cargo ships revealed military-grade weapons. Hidden asteroid bases powered up massive defense systems. Mining vessels deployed swarms of combat drones. Impossible, Vextar roared as his sensors showed the true size of the human fleet. They can't have this many ships. Chancellor Vextar found his flagship surrounded by human vessels he hadn't known existed. To his starboard side, Captain Jake Collins brought the Retribution to bear, its experimental weapons charging with visible energy. Council fleet, this is Admiral Clark. The human commander's voice echoed through space. You were warned. You chose not to listen. Now you face the consequences. The first phase of the battle was pure shock. Council ships, arranged for attacking defenseless colonies, found themselves outflanked and outnumbered by an enemy they had completely underestimated. Jake Collins led the first attack wave, his dreadnought, phasing in and out of hyperspace to strike at multiple targets. His ship's adaptive weapons automatically adjusted to each enemy they faced. Against Zephyrian vessels, the Retribution fired sonic disruptors that made their regenerative hulls crumble. Against insectoid ships, it deployed electromagnetic pulses that severed their biological communication networks. This is impossible, Hive Queen Zilthara screeched as her coordination with the fleet began breaking down. How do they know our weaknesses? Dr. Amy Foster's biological warfare pods launched their payloads throughout the battlefield. Clouds of specially designed particles spread among the Council ships, each tailored to neutralize specific alien species without causing permanent harm. Zephyrian crews found their healing abilities disrupted, forcing their ships to withdraw from combat. Insectoid vessels lost the ability to coordinate attacks, making them sitting targets for human fighters. Commander Pete Adams activated his masterpiece, the Confusion Protocol. Council ships throughout the battlefield suddenly lost the ability to distinguish friend from foe. Target acquired, a Zephyrian weapons officer reported, locking onto what his compromised sensors showed as a human vessel. Fire, his captain ordered. The plasma beam struck a Luminari ship which exploded in a brilliant flash of energy. Across the battlefield, similar scenes played out as alien vessels began attacking each other. Our sensors are compromised. Vextar realized too late. The humans have sabotaged our targeting systems, but the damage was spreading. Council ships fired on their own allies, thinking they were attacking human vessels. The coordinated attack force dissolved into chaos. Admiral Clark watched the battle unfold with professional satisfaction. Phase 2, he ordered. Demonstration of overwhelming force. The human fleet revealed capabilities that shocked even their own crews. Ships merged together into larger vessels. Weapon systems adapted in real time to counter enemy defenses. Damaged vessels repaired themselves using technology reverse-engineered from a dozen different alien species. Captain Jake Collins found himself facing the Council flagship directly. The massive Zephyrian dreadnought was twice the size of his ship and bristling with weapons. "Jake, be careful," Lisa Murphy's voice warned. "That's Chancellor Vextar's personal ship." "I see it," Jake replied, bringing his vessel around in an impossible maneuver that defied known physics. "Let's show him what human engineering can do." The Retribution seemed to dance around the larger alien vessel, striking from multiple angles while avoiding return fire. Jake's ship phased partially into hyperspace, making it impossible for enemy weapons to target effectively. "How are they doing that?" Vextar demanded, as his gunners failed to land a single hit. The answer came from Dr. Amy Foster's research team. Human ships were using quantum field manipulation, a technology thought impossible by Council scientists. As the battle raged, more Council commanders began to understand the truth. The species they had dismissed as primitive had secretly developed technologies beyond their comprehension. Commander Sarah Wells, in her converted merchant vessel, coordinated attacks by hundreds of similar ships. Freighters and passenger liners moved in perfect formation, their hidden weapon systems devastating entire Council squadrons. "This isn't warfare," one alien captain transmitted in panic. "This is extermination." But Admiral Clark proved him wrong. As Council ships began exploding throughout the battlefield, human vessels moved to rescue survivors. Enemy crews found themselves pulled from wreckage by the same humans they had come to kill. "Attention Council survivors," Admiral Clark broadcast. "Surrender now and you will be treated with honor. Continue fighting and face annihilation." Some alien commanders, seeing the hopelessness of their situation, began surrendering immediately. Others, too proud to admit defeat, fought on until their ships were disabled by human forces. Hive Queen Zilthara's swarm of 600 vessels was reduced to fewer than 50 in the first hour of combat. Her flagship, damaged and surrounded, finally sent a surrender signal. "We yield," she transmitted. "Please, we yield." Captain Jake Collins, who had been preparing to destroy her ship, instead moved to accept her surrender. "Surrender accepted. Prepare to be boarded." Throughout the battlefield, similar scenes played out. The mighty Council fleet, which had expected easy victory over primitive humans, was being systematically destroyed by opponents they had fatally underestimated. Chancellor Vextar, his flagship crippled and his fleet in ruins, finally understood the magnitude of his mistake. The humans hadn't been bluffing. Their warnings had been completely accurate. "Open a channel to the human admiral," he commanded, his voice heavy with defeat. "Channel open, sir," his communications officer replied weakly. "Admiral Clark, this is Chancellor Vextar. We surrender. Please call off your attack." The human response was immediate. "Surrender accepted. All Council vessels cease fire and prepare to be boarded. Any ship that continues fighting will be destroyed." As the battle ended, the scope of humanity's victory became clear. Of the 2,000 ships the Council had sent, fewer than 300 remained intact. Human losses totaled just 47 vessels. But the real victory wasn't measured in ships destroyed. The Council's aura of invincibility was shattered forever. The species they had planned to eliminate had instead proven themselves the dominant military power in the galaxy. Admiral Clark looked out at the wreckage of the once mighty Council fleet and felt no satisfaction, only sadness that such destruction had been necessary. "This is Admiral Clark to all human forces," he announced. "Battle is concluded. Begin rescue operations immediately." The battle was over, but the real work was just beginning. Admiral Tony Clark stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching human rescue ships pull alien survivors from the wreckage of their vessels. In 6 hours of combat, the mighty Galactic Council fleet had been reduced to scattered debris and defeated prisoners. "Casualty report," he requested from his operations officer. "Human losses, 47 vessels destroyed, 1,200 personnel killed or wounded. Council losses: over 1,700 ships destroyed or disabled. Estimated 300,000 casualties. Clark closed his eyes briefly. Even in victory, the numbers were sobering. And the prisoners? 68,000 alien survivors, rescued so far. Medical teams are treating wounded from both sides without discrimination. This was the moment that would define humanity's future relationship with the galaxy. How they treated their defeated enemies would determine whether they became liberators or conquerors. Chancellor Vextar found himself in the medical bay of a human ship, his scales torn and bleeding from the destruction of his flagship. A human. Dr. Amy Foster worked to treat his injuries with the same care she showed human patients. Why? He asked weakly. Why save us after what we tried to do? Amy looked up from her medical scanner. Because that's who we are. We fight when we have to, but we don't kill unnecessarily. The Chancellor stared at her with confusion. In all his years commanding Council forces, defeated enemies were either enslaved or eliminated. Mercy was considered weakness. Your species is strange, he admitted. No stranger than yours, Amy replied, applying a healing patch to his damaged scales. We just believe that today's enemy can become tomorrow's ally. Throughout human space, similar scenes played out. Captain Jake Collins supervised the processing of Hive Queen Zilthara and her surviving officers. The insectoid commander expected execution or torture. Instead, she found herself in comfortable quarters aboard the Retribution. I don't understand. She clicked to Jake during their first meeting. We came to destroy your colonies. We plan to kill millions of your people. Jake sat across from her, his expression calm but serious. And if you had succeeded, we would have stopped you. But you didn't succeed, and killing you now won't bring back the dead. The Queen's compound eyes studied him carefully. Your species is either very wise or very foolish. Maybe both, Jake admitted. But we'd rather be foolish and hopeful than wise and cruel. News of humanity's victory spread across the galaxy within hours. On dozens of worlds that had been suppressed under Council rule, celebrations began spontaneously. The Altarian Republic, which had been forced into Council membership 50 years earlier, declared independence immediately. Their ambassador, A.E., blue-skinned humanoid named Veltar, transmitted a message to Earth. The people of Altair thank humanity for breaking the chains that bound us. We pledge our support to whatever government you choose to establish. Similar messages arrived from the Centauri Federation, the Free Worlds Alliance, and dozens of other systems. The Council's defeat had triggered a galactic revolution. President Karen Wells called an emergency session of Earth's Global Council. Representatives from every nation gathered to decide humanity's next step. We have a choice, she told the assembly. We can become the new galactic empire, ruling through fear like the Council did, or we can build something better. General Rick Hayes, still coordinating the aftermath of the battle, spoke via hologram from his command center. Madam President, we have the military strength to enforce whatever system we choose. The question is, what kind of galaxy do we want to live in? Debate lasted for hours. Some representatives argued for direct human control, claiming it was the only way to prevent future conflicts. Others insisted that democracy and self-determination were the principles that made Earth worth fighting for. Finally, Ambassador Lisa Murphy, still aboard the Retribution, made the argument that would shape the future. We didn't fight this battle to become conquerors, she said. We fought to defend our right to exist. If we become the same kind of tyrants we just defeated, then their treachery succeeded after all. The vote was unanimous. Earth would not become a galactic empire. Instead, they would offer every species a choice: join a new democratic confederation based on equality and mutual respect, or remain independent but peaceful neighbors. The announcement was made 6 months after the battle, in a broadcast that reached every inhabited system in the galaxy. People of all worlds, President Wells began, the age of Council domination is over. In its place, we propose the Galactic Democratic Assembly, a government where every species has a voice and every world chooses its own destiny. The response was overwhelming. Within weeks, over 200 systems had petitioned to join the new government. Even some former council worlds, seeing how humanity treated its defeated enemies, requested membership. The first session of the Galactic Democratic Assembly convened on Harmony Prime Station, the same place where the Council's treachery had been revealed. The irony was not lost on anyone present. Ambassador Lisa Murphy, now elected as the Assembly's first Secretary General, called the historic session to order. Representatives from species that had never been allowed council membership sat beside, former enemies who had fought at the Battle of Human Space. This assembly recognizes the fundamental rights of all sentient beings, she announced. The right to self-determination, the right to peaceful existence, and the right to defend themselves against aggression. Chancellor Vextar, surprisingly, had accepted the position of Zephyrian representative. His defeat had taught him that strength without wisdom was worthless. He stood to address the assembly. "I speak for those who opposed humanity," he began, his voice carrying across the chamber. "We were wrong. We saw your rapid expansion and assumed it meant conquest. We interpreted your success as a threat. Our treachery was born from fear and pride." He paused, looking around at the diverse assembly of beings. "But humanity has shown us a different path. They defeated us completely, yet treated us with honor. They could have enslaved us but chose to free us. This is true strength." The speech was carried live across the galaxy, and its impact was immediate. Species that had been hesitant to trust humans began reconsidering their position. Dr. Amy Foster found herself appointed as the Assembly's first Director of Interspecies Relations. Her job was to help build bridges between former enemies and establish the scientific cooperation that would benefit all members. "We're going to share our technologies," she announced in her first briefing. "Medical advances, agricultural techniques, and defensive systems. No more secrecy, no more advantages based on withholding knowledge." Captain Jake Collins, promoted to Admiral, took command of the Assembly Defense Force. Unlike the Council's military, which existed to suppress rebellion, this force had one mission: protect member worlds from external threats while never interfering in their internal affairs. "We will not be galactic police," he told his officers. "We're guardians. We protect those who cannot protect themselves, but we never impose our will on others." The transformation wasn't immediate or easy. Some species remained suspicious of human motives. Others argued that democracy was impossible with so many different cultures and belief systems. But gradually, the new system proved itself. Trade flourished between member worlds. Scientific advances were shared freely. Conflicts were resolved through negotiation rather than warfare. Commander Pete Adams, now head of Assembly Intelligence, worked to prevent the mistakes that had led to the Council's corruption. His networks monitored for signs of conspiracy or aggression, but their purpose was early warning, not control. "We'll never again be caught off guard," he promised the Assembly. "But neither will we become paranoid tyrants who see enemies everywhere." A year after its founding, the Galactic Democratic Assembly faced its first major test. An aggressive species called the Devourers began attacking Assembly worlds on the galactic rim. Unlike the political maneuvering that had characterized Council-era conflicts, this was a clear case of unprovoked aggression. The Assembly's response was swift and decisive. Admiral Jake Collins led a joint fleet composed of ships from dozens of member species. Human vessels fought alongside former Council enemies, united in defense of their shared principles. The Devourer fleet was defeated in a single decisive battle, but the real victory was political. The galaxy saw that the Assembly could defend its members effectively while maintaining its democratic ideals. Chancellor Vextar, commanding a squadron of Zephyrian vessels in the battle, transmitted a message that became famous throughout known space. "Today we fight not as conquerors or subjects, but as free beings defending freedom itself." As the second year of the Assembly began, Lisa Murphy stood in her office looking out at Harmony Prime's main dock. Ships from hundreds of worlds came and went, carrying trade goods, diplomatic messages, and scientific data. Dr. Amy Foster joined her at the window. "Any regrets about not becoming Galactic Emperor?" Lisa smiled. "None at all. Look at what we've built instead." The two women watched as a group of young beings from different species worked together on a joint research project. Humans, Zephyrians, former council members, and species that had never been contacted before the Assembly's founding. President Karen Wells sat in the Oval Office, staring at the urgent message from Ambassador Murphy. The holographic display showed star charts, alien ship positions, and decoded communications. Everything pointed to one terrible conclusion. The Galactic Council was planning to attack Earth's colonies. How certain are we about this intelligence? She asked General Rick Hayes, her top military advisor. The gray-haired general studied the data with experienced eyes. The evidence is strong, Madam President. Our deep space sensors confirm unusual fleet movements. Every major council species is repositioning their forces. Secretary of State Helen Brooks shook her head. This could be a misunderstanding. The council has kept peace for 2 centuries. Why would they risk war now? Because we're becoming too successful, General Hayes replied. Human colonies are outgrowing alien settlements 3-1. Our technology advances faster than theirs. They see us as a threat. President Wells walked to the window overlooking the White House lawn. Earth looked peaceful from here, but she knew that billions of lives hung in the balance. Her decision in the next few hours could determine humanity's future. What are our options, she asked. We could accept their offer and hope they're telling the truth, Secretary Brooks suggested. The Kepler system would make Earth incredibly wealthy and leave our outer colonies defenseless, General Hayes countered. 40 million people live in those sectors. If the council attacks, they'll be slaughtered. The president turned back to her advisors. What does Ambassador Murphy recommend? She wants to confront the council directly. Tell them we know about their plan and demand they call it off. That's dangerous, Brooks warned. If we're wrong, we'll destroy centuries of diplomatic progress. General Hayes pulled up more data. Madam President, I've been planning for this scenario for years. If the council wants a war, we're more prepared than they realize. President Wells raised an eyebrow. Explain. Project Deep Shield. For the past 20 years, we've been secretly upgrading our defenses. Every human colony, trade ship, and exploration vessel has hidden military capabilities. The Council thinks we have maybe 200 warships. They don't know about our real strength. Meanwhile, back on Harmony Prime Station, Lisa Murphy prepared for the most important meeting of her career. She had spent hours practicing her words, trying to find the right balance between firm warning and diplomatic respect. Dr. Amy Foster had worked all night decoding alien messages. The fragments she discovered confirmed their worst fears. The Council was calling it Operation Cleansing, a coordinated attack designed to cripple humanity's expansion. I've got partial battle plans, Amy reported, her eyes red from lack of sleep. They're planning to hit all 3 sectors simultaneously. Overwhelming force, no survivors. Captain Jake Collins checked his sidearm and straightened his uniform. I'll be right beside you in that meeting room, Lisa. If things go wrong, we'll fight our way out. Lisa nodded gratefully. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. The council meeting began at noon, station time. The same delegates sat around the circular table, but the atmosphere felt different. More tense. More dangerous. Chancellor Vextar smiled his cold smile. Ambassador Murphy, have you considered our generous offer? Lisa stood up slowly, her heart pounding. This was the moment that would change everything. Chancellor, we need to discuss something important first. Oh? Zilthara clicked curiously. Lisa looked directly into Vextar's yellow eyes. We know what you're planning. We've detected your fleet movements, decoded your communications, and identified your staging areas. This meeting isn't about trade. It's about trapping us. The room fell silent. Several alien delegates shifted nervously in their seats. Others looked genuinely surprised, as if they hadn't known about the military plan. Vextar's scales darkened slightly, the Zephyrian equivalent of blushing. Ambassador, these are serious accusations. Do you have proof of these wild claims? Enough proof, Lisa replied calmly. We're withdrawing our acceptance of your offer. Furthermore, I'm giving you fair warning. If you proceed with Operation Cleansing, you will regret it. More shocked silence. How did the humans know the operation's code name? Captain Jake Collins stepped forward, his hand resting on his weapon. She's being polite, Chancellor. Let me be more direct. We know you have over 2,000 ships gathering at the edge of Council space. We know you plan to attack our colonies in the Arcturus, Centauri, and Vega sectors. Call off your attack, or face the consequences. Hive Queen Zilthara's clicking became rapid and agitated. In her language, it was the equivalent of nervous laughter. Consequences from humans? Your entire species has fewer than 300 warships. Dr. Amy Foster smiled grimly from her position near the wall. Her scanner showed every alien in the room displaying stress reactions. They were caught, and they knew it. Vextar stood, up to his full 7-foot height, trying to look intimidating. These accusations are insulting and baseless. The Galactic Council demands an immediate apology. The only thing you'll get from us, Lisa replied, is this warning. Humanity doesn't start fights, but we finish them. Turn your fleets around, and go home. This is your only chance. The luminary delegate, a being of pure energy contained in a crystal shell, flickered rapidly. You dare threaten the Council? We who have ruled the galaxy for centuries. We're not threatening anyone, Jake said firmly. We're giving you information. Attack us, and you'll lose. It's that simple. Zilthara's clicking turned mocking. Lose? To a species that learned to fly in space less than a century ago? Impossible. Lisa felt a mix of sadness and determination. They were giving the Council every opportunity to avoid disaster, but alien arrogance was preventing them from listening. We've said what we came to say, she announced. Our ships will withdraw from this station within the hour. What happens next is entirely your choice. As the humans prepared to leave, Chancellor Vextar called out, Ambassador Murphy, you have made a grave error today. The Council will remember this insult. Lisa paused at the doorway and looked back. Chancellor, you're about to make a much graver error. When it's over, remember that we warned you. The human delegation left Harmony Prime under heavy escort. As their ship Valiant pulled away from the station, Jake monitored Council communications channels. They're going ahead with it, he reported grimly. I'm picking up activation orders, being sent to their fleets. Amy shook her head in disbelief. Even after we warned them, even after we gave them a way out. Pride, Lisa said simply. They can't believe that humans could be a real threat. They've been on top for so long they've forgotten what it's like to face real opposition. Back on the station, Chancellor Vextar convened an emergency session with his closest allies. The other delegates had been dismissed. This was now a military matter. The humans somehow discovered our plans, he hissed angrily. Impossible, Zilthara clicked. Our communications were encrypted with quantum locks. Yet they knew the operation name and our fleet positions, the Luminari representative flickered. We have a security breach. Vextar's tail lashed behind him. It doesn't matter how they found out. They've shown their true nature today, paranoid, aggressive, and dangerous. This proves we were right to plan their elimination. Their warning seemed genuine, another delegate offered hesitantly. Empty bluffing, Zilthara screeched. Humans have never won a major military engagement. They're prey species pretending to be predators. The Chancellor nodded agreement. Proceed with Operation Cleansing as planned. The humans have revealed their knowledge, but that changes nothing. We still outnumber them 10-1. As the meeting broke up, none of the Council leaders noticed the small listening device that Dr. Amy Foster had secretly planted under the conference table. Her final gift was letting humanity hear exactly what they were up against. Aboard the Valiant racing back toward Earth space, the three humans prepared for war. They had done everything possible to prevent it. They had given the Council clear warnings and multiple chances to back down. How long until their fleets reach our colonies? Lisa asked. 72 hours, Jake calculated. Maybe less if they push their engines hard. Amy was already transmitting their intelligence to Earth Defense Command. At least we'll be ready for them. Lisa stared out at the stars, knowing that some of those distant lights were Council worlds. Soon, many of them, would be battlefields. The peace she had worked years to maintain was ending, destroyed by alien arrogance and treachery. They were warned, she said quietly. Whatever happens next, they can't say they weren't warned. The galaxy was about to discover that humans always keep their promises, both offers of friendship and threats of war. The Council's greatest mistake wasn't planning to attack humanity. It was ignoring humanity's warning to run.